So I got a new guitar. I have always wanted a better Strat guitar. I formerly had that Squire. It was kind of like a Strat style guitar, but it was far from this beauty. And it even comes with the certificate of authenticity, so you know it's legit. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I feel like this calls for a genre that I haven't really tackled before, but I absolutely love. Some indie rock, in the style of one of my favorite bands, the Marias. Let's start playing. Alright, so I already made a indie rock, indie pop style beat prior to recording my guitar parts because I really wanted a good foundation before I actually could get to start playing. So I'm gonna just quickly break down what I did in this beat before I start talking about the guitar playing. Alright, so first I want to talk about these chords. First we have an E minor 7, then a B minor 7 with D in the bass, a C major 9, and to end it all off, a diminished with C in the bass. I notice a lot of these indie pop, indie rock songs have a lot of extensions, a lot of pretty chords, so I definitely wanted to emulate that here. And to add a little bit of rhythm in between the chords, I like to have every other chord start a 16th note early. Another thing I did here, which is something that a lot of indie songwriters do as well, is do inversions. So inversions are basically when you have a triad, let's say A minor. So you have A, C, E. Instead of A being the first note in the chord, you actually move that up an octave and C will be the first note in the chord. That will be called the first inversion. And the second inversion of that chord would be E will be the first note of the chord. So C will move up an octave. Songwriters and composers love to do this because it allows the bass notes of the chords to move very fluidly while also keeping their harmonic changes. Especially for the last two chords, because C is in the bass for both of them, but they are completely different chords. Having C be in the bass allows them to flow better. It's just something to keep in mind and another thing to have in your toolbox. Alright, so moving on, I have this bass line, which basically just outlines the chords. Another thing I really like to do is also add these chromatic notes in between the chord changes. I just think it adds a little bit of spice to an otherwise monotonous bass line. Specifically here for this D sharp, right before the D in the bass for the B minor 7 chord. Alright, so moving on, here are my drums. So here I have a couple of drum loops, as well as these layered snare and kick patterns. This perk sample, which kind of sounds like a clock. I don't know, it just adds a bit of quirkiness, which is something I hear a lot in this style of music. And the shaker sample, which I feel really drives the rhythm forward. It kind of keeps a consistent beat. And here I took one of my earlier takes, which I wasn't too proud of, and just added a good amount of chorus and reverb, which is a sound that is very synonymous with the Marias and hide a lot of the mistakes. So here's how it sounds. And as you can see, I have this panned hard left and the part I just recorded panned hard right. This is a panning technique that is used throughout most guitar music because if you have, let's say, another guitar or other mid-range frequency instrument, you could definitely hear a lot of those sounds clashing with each other and creating a lot of mud, and that's just not something you really want to have if you want a clean mix. So what a lot of engineers and producers do, they just pan those hard left and hard right, especially if you have vocals, because vocals will also occupy a lot of the mid-range. So having those panned left and right will definitely allow you to have a much cleaner and clearer mix. All right, so let's hear how everything sounds put together. I'm personally pretty happy with that. There's definitely a lot more stuff I can do in terms of arrangement, but for the most part, this was pretty fun to make. But it's definitely a genre that I want to continue making, especially now that I have such an amazing guitar. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to check out this guitar for yourself, there is a link in the description below. It is an affiliate link which gives me a very small but much appreciated commission that helps me keep the channel running. And I know the price of the guitar could be a little daunting for some people, especially for beginners, but honestly, if you are someone that wants to incorporate more guitar playing into your productions, I personally think that having a good quality guitar is a worthwhile investment. If you found value in this video, consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and commenting your thoughts, and I'll see you on the next one. This has been Microwave. Peace.